This Tunnel 15 attack strategy is broken, and with the addition of the new event troops, there's no way to stop this attack. So I'll give you the best build for this army and the steps needed to use it to 3-star any base. Let's start with the best build you'll need to run for each hero. For the Barbarian King, I'd recommend running the Giant Gauntlet with the Rage Vial. This is by far his best set and can work really well on really any base. You can also run the Vamp Stash or the Spiky Ball, but they are objectively not as good as using the Rage Vial with the Giant Gauntlet. As for his pet, use the Phoenix, as it can extend him past death and is usually his best in slot, especially if he does die through his Giant Gauntlet ability. For the Archer Queen, the Frozen Arrow plus Invisibility Vial or the Healer Puppets plus the Invisibility Vial are great choices, as they provide support and survivability necessary in a Super Archer Blimp attack and can work very well. As for her pets, you should be using the Unicorn for its excellent healing, especially when you are not being overwhelmed with damage or if you're underneath the Invisibility Vial. For the Grand Warden, my personal preference is to use the Eternal Tome plus the Fireball, as it can clear a large area, and if you just bring one Quake, it can snipe off a lot of buildings, though I would recommend having a level 18 or higher Fireball before you use this. As for his pets, just use the Owl. It really doesn't matter what you use if the Warden is just gonna die anyways. And lastly, the Royal Champion. Her best set is the Hog Puppets with the Haste Vial, as this provides a lot of comfort and a lot of strength. But if you don't have the Hog Puppets upgraded, you can always run the Royal Gem and the Haste Vial, as it's her next best set, as it offers a lot of survivability and great DPS with the haste. For her, I would recommend just running Diggy, as the stuns are super useful on the Royal Champion regardless of where you're using her in the base. So with the best builds, how does this army really work? Well, this army utilizes the Barbarian Kickers to start off. Sniping off defenses while being untargetable is great and allows you to set up the Fireball if you're using it. Either way, you want to use your Warden with the Blimp, and just before it leaves the ring, pop the Eternal Tome to keep your Blimp moving deeper in. This is where you could use the Fireball and the Earthquake to get massive value. With the Battle Blimp though, just before it pops, use an invisibility in the spot you want to land, or just before it pops from the defenses or traps. This way you can safely use 2 clones, a rage, and then quickly timing your invisibility spells every 4 seconds from then on. Outside of your Super Archer Blimp, you got your heroes to move around the base to clear out defenses and trash buildings in the process. Use giant throwers to open the walls and tank for your heroes, while using Barbarian Kickers around the base to snipe off defenses. With your Royal Champion, use her to either support your heroes or use her on the back end to help remove defenses in conjunction with her abilities and Diggy. Outside of that, you should have enough cleanup from the HAALAND troops for an easy 3-star. Plus, this can work at any Town Hall level if you're Town Hall 12 and above. Now that you have a good idea of how this works, let's give you some examples versus different base types, starting with a common ring style design. So when you're facing off against a ring style design, you can very easily pluck out defenses from the base, since a lot of the time, a lot of those key defenses like the scatter shots, monolith, and even the expos are in the core of the base. It makes it perfect for you to snipe off these lesser defenses, making it so much easier before you send in the Fireball. Just make sure that you are using them sparingly and you're not spamming them, so you can save some for the back end. This is where you've got the Warden with the Fireball and the Eternal Tome to clear a large area with an Earthquake, then using that Blimp, once it pops, use the Invisibility, 2 clones, then using a Rage and timing your invisibility spells every 4 seconds. If you're not running the Fireball, you should be able to clear a large area in the core, even if there are invisibility spell towers, but you want to make sure that you're just using those every 4 seconds to get the most value, so even if you are using the Fireball, it kind of extends extends that value, so you will still be able to clear a large area off the base. This then allows you to basically run in your heroes. You've got the Barbarian Kickers to help kind of clean up the areas that they already kind of sniped off, and of course you've got the giant throwers there to open walls and clear out any sort of trash buildings, since they do get one-shotted, or defenses, and this really will help you while also providing a tank for your heroes. As your king can dive into the core of the base, really helpful, and having some of those giant throwers to tank for your Barbarian Kickers are always incredibly nice. With your Royal Champion, use her to support your main push with the haste and the hogs, alongside having Diggy to provide a ton of stuns, which is really going to allow you to 3-star, while also having some nice cleanup with the Barbarian Kickers to 3-star very easily against this type of design. Next is the box bases, which can be very good if you can get the blimp in a solid position. Now, in terms of a box base, it can be a little bit tougher, but you want to make sure that you are angling your Barbarian Kickers to clear out as many buildings as possible. This does really help you a lot, so even if they are getting targeted by lesser defenses, you should be completely fine. You do just want to make sure for the most part that you can snipe off some really important defenses while also still getting some type of value. You just want to make sure that you are using them sparingly, like I've said before, so you're not spamming them and using them all too early. This will allow you to send in the Grand Warden with the Fireball. So even if it goes in for a little bit less value than something like the Anti-2, you can still clear a nice area and still have your invisibilities and the clones with the rage, and then timing your invisibility spells every 4 seconds to get a lot of value. This will allow you to clear a large area in the core. If you can clear the Town Hall, that's great, but if not, you still have Barbarian Kickers, so I really wouldn't worry about the Town Hall if you don't get it. For the most part, just make sure that you are being careful of giant bombs, small bombs, and bomb towers, so that way you don't have to worry about the Super Archer Blimp dying. Other than this, you've got the giant throwers to provide wall breaking, tanking. Even if the monolith does lock onto your king, you'll be completely fine. For the most part, you just want to make sure that you're getting some good damage on there, possibly using his ability early, so this provides a nice support for the queen to go in to possibly take it down. But otherwise, you just want to make sure that you're continuing to work yourself around, having the giant throwers to continue to provide tanking while also doing some great damage. You've got your Royal Champion to move in to support your heroes, since your king had to use the ability so early in this situation. For the most part though, realistically you will be able to still clear through, as long as you're able to clear through some of those key defenses that you didn't remove with the Super Archer Blimp. You should still have more than enough troops for cleanup, and realistically you should have more than enough health on your heroes, and you should have enough of the Barbarian Kickers to get some really good value and clear through the entire rest of the base for an easy 3-star. And finally, we have the anti-3-star bases, which can be tougher, but it can get the job done. So with the anti-3-star designs, you just want to make sure that you're doing kind of the same thing as the boxes. You want to be sure that you are keeping some of your some of your Barbarian Kickers out of range while also doing some nice damage. You just want to make sure that you're able to clear just enough of the area so you can very easily use the Battle Blimp with the Warden. You don't want to spam them, but you do want to make sure that you're able to get something. So even if the Warden's Fireball doesn't go nearly as deep, you should still be able to get some type of value with the Eternal Tome and the Fireball. This allows you to use the invisibility, then of course using your 2 clones, a rage, and then timing your invisibility spells from here every 4 seconds to get a lot of value off the base. Even if you're dealing with a base that has an invisibility spell tower, you'll be able to clear a large area from just that side. It does make it a lot easier for you for when you are sending in your heroes, because now you really just have to focus in on the other areas of the base. Pretty much, you just want to make sure that you are using your heroes and Barbarian Kickers from this point in order to help continue to move around the design. You do want to use your Barbarian King and Archer Queen to start moving in. You've got the giants to provide some type of support and tanking, and of course providing that wall break like I've mentioned throughout the entire thing, but you do want to make sure that you're just allowing them to move around. So having the giant throwers in order to provide tanking for both your heroes and your barbarian kickers while they attack anything is always incredibly useful. But you do want to make sure that what you are doing is you do want to make sure that as you are going deeper into the base, you have enough barbarian kickers and giant throwers as you move around. You should have your royal champion though to move on the back end side to clear out any remaining defenses that might be in the core, especially multi-infernos or the monolith or whatever. You do want to make sure that you are just using your barbarian kickers to get some nice value. You can use 2 to snipe off an eagle artillery if it's possible, but otherwise having your royal champion, of course, with her ability can really help, and you should have more than enough troops to clear through almost any design with this. It can be a little bit tough, but definitely this is a super strong option that can really work well. This by far utilizes most of the new stuff in this event. However, we do have more to share, so if you're interested in fireball content, I'd check my Ward and Want guide for more info about how you even use the fireball.